Hey guys, Arnav here from Coding Blocks, and so this video is I don't know, quite an interesting one. It's not really about something very tech focused, like you can see in the background about GSoC, and it's not really about how to prepare for GSoC or something like that. It's also not about how to start web development or Android or like kind of tech topics that I usually talk about, and it's also not a lot about mm, I made a video a few days back about a roadmap to be like use your college years for learning. You can go and check that out. So it's not something like that. It's not gyan of any format, in fact, and it's about memories. Some memories, and I will tell you why. What triggered me to make this, but it's like these days. So yeah, I mean, first of all, how are you guys? So whenever you'll be seeing this video, I think I'm not live. This is recorded and it will be premiering, but I'll be up there on the chat to reply to all of your messages that you'll be sending. So yeah, I mean, how you guys doing? It's kind of a bad time, I guess. Nothing new really happening on daily basis. Like it's just getting up and it's the same thing. It's the same um, blue room that I have, and it's just like the day starts inside this room, the day ends inside this room. Nothing much to do. Like all of that. Like there's work going on. I think people are working from home and new things are happening. Like new courses are getting launched and new videos are getting made. Um, but it's like a very sad kind of life. It feels a lot like, I don't know if somebody has seen Black Mirror. So there's this episode where there's this guy who wakes up in this room full of screens, and then he goes and there's this bicycle on which he just trains on the bicycle for the entire day and goes back into that room, and there's like really nothing to do, and it's kind of feels like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the reason why I think memories are really important at this time. I think thinking of all the things that we did, if I have to think of going and traveling, I'm just looking at photos of me having traveled before, and like I'm having a lot of food cravings, so I'm just looking at the photos of all the food that I have had before. And yeah, I think throwbacks are what's keeping us going through these tough times, I guess. But I mean, also it felt like, I think in March it felt like it would be like over in a couple of months, and I think by May it felt like okay, fine. I think by the summer's gone, but maybe August it'll be fine. But I think it's July now, and it does feel like 2020 is gone, because the coronavirus case numbers and all. But I just want to discuss, not really discuss, but just share with you some memories of the early days of coding blocks, some events that we used to do. And so I'll tell you why, because there's this photo actually, this the one at the center. So I was just going through the Google Photos app yesterday, and like a huge coincidence happened. So I got this photo which turned up on my app yesterday, and in memories, 4 years ago memories, because this photo I think was uploaded on 8th of July in 2016. This event happened on 5th of July in 2016, and I got that memory. And then just a day before that, yesterday, I was talking to Bhavya, and Bhavya is there in this photo. So that's Bhavya there. Okay, and I was just talking to Bhavya, and we were just discussing. I asked him like if he could come on for like a live interview on our YouTube channel once, because he's working at Goldman Sachs now, and he was one of my longest running teaching assistants in web dev, I think for 11 or 12 batches. So both Bhavya and Apurva sitting beside him. So Bhavya and Apurva, they were like a couple of years junior to me, and they were from NSIT, and they came here. They were teaching assistants in a Java batch, and then they learned web development, and like they used to pick up things really so fast that I set up a separate set of sessions, 4 5, with 5 6 people including them, and so Abhishek, Piyush, all of those people, and we I think completed the entire web development syllabus that usually takes like 20 classes, and we did with I think 6 classes or so. And then they started assisting me in teaching the Node.js course, and they did that for I think 2 years. uh, I had never have had anybody who has been a teaching assistant for I think what 10 11 batches, but they were, and I think uh, over time it just felt like family, like them being younger brothers and sisters to me, not just like being a mentor or mentee kind of relationship or teacher or student kind of a thing. And yeah, I mean, I got some great friends in that way. But yeah, so I was just talking to Bhavya, and he said that, the first time I actually went to Coding Blocks was a GSoC event. And I did not know that, but I did not really remember that, because I think I have remembered him from the time he was, so working on web development. But yeah, so I just asked him, like, was it 2017 event or like 2016? He's like, no, 2016. So like, oh, the first event that did on GSoC at Coding Blocks. And I think, yeah, so that's the one he was here. And I think just the next day this Google memory comes up, and I know it feels a lot like, those conspiracy theories where Google is listening to what you are talking and chatting on WhatsApp, and then showing you based on that. But I think it's quite a yeah, big coincidence. So this photo where it was like the proof of them being here on the GSoC meetup just came up the next day. And it also like I just felt like I wanted to share a lot of these memories of how you know uh, these meetups helped grow the community around Coding Blocks. So for a lot of people, I think when you go to something like online.codingblocks.com, and it feels like, we are like this place which sells courses, and we do that. Yes, of course. I think Coding Blocks is like a private company. It has employees, and we have revenue, and we have expenditure, and our revenue comes from selling online courses. But uh, like right from the beginning, and forever, for me, it has always been a lot about getting people who want to learn and who want to build things, who want to who love making apps, websites, programming, getting those people together and having a good time. So that has been the genesis of Coding Blocks, and these meetups were really kind of the way things had grown and the way things continue to grow. I think the last 1 year or 1.5 years or so, I have not been so keen on myself going for these meetups, because like I have given talks on GSoC kind named sessions for I think 3 years or so. So I was a GSoC student twice, and then I was a GSoC mentor for 2 years. So but over time what happens is, like, the people who are coming to those meetups, for them the questions are always new, but for me it's kind of gets old, like, telling the same thing, that how to get into GSoC, how to get into open source. And at the end of the day, I finally made a video, and that's probably one of the most popular videos of our channel. I think GSoC is like a great place for people to uh, show their credentials, that they can work on a big project. But GSoC has been made out to be something like IIT JEE exam kind of a thing also in India, which is something that I don't really relate to much. But anyway, we're not talking about that. What I was talking about is like these meetups and the kind of people that we met. And I want to celebrate some of these folks in these photos that I just dug up on my memories, and share with you a little bit about their journeys, what they have done. Maybe you guys get inspired, because what else can we do in this time? Just stuck at home and doing nothing, right? So yeah, I mean, this was the first time we had like a GSoC session, and the reason we had this was to participate in FOSS and the GSoC, one of the requirements was you have to conduct a meetup, and like all of us who were participating that year, like Manan and Shivain and Harshit, Ayush, we all got Mario. Mario is the founder of FOSS Asia. He came over on a web session. Although I mean, how things have grown, I think, like, Mario is like FOSS founder, and he's from Germany. So last year he actually came for a open source session physically from Germany all the way to India, and he attended a session at Coding Blocks premises. This is from the year when first time we had an open source session, and Mario was connected with us on hangouts like this. So yeah, uh, so I'll show you a little photo here, which is um, yeah, here we go. So this photo is like a lot of the people who were there. Like this photo wasn't as much about Coding Blocks as it was about a bunch of friends who work on open source, who talk with each other a lot on IRC and discuss stuff, and like comment on each other's commits on GitHub, and like people who we know a lot on GitHub coming together and just sharing a pizza. That's what this photo was about, and it was for, I think, me 2 months into Coding Blocks. Yeah, I think I've been at Coding Blocks for 2 months at this time. It really hadn't sunk into me, like, this is a company and it's growing, and we're making money, business. None of these things really made sense to me at that time. I really like just going to classes and teaching people how to make apps. And so there's this video with Pratik Bhaiya, and so I still look like myself here. I think there'd be a photo of me standing somewhere. So let me get that. Yeah. So I still look like me, right? You know, that still looks like me. I believe, yeah. But how does Pratik Bhaiya look like? Let's find out, right? Yep. So I think in the pizza photos somewhere. Yeah. So that's Pratik Bhaiya from 2016. And yeah, so we'd probably have some photo of everybody standing together as well. Yeah, there we go. So these are also like the people without whom Coding Blocks could not have formed. There's Harshit, there is Ayush. They were part of the Coding Blocks journey for the first more than 2 years. Without them, the Coding Blocks Dwarka Center would not even have probably started. They were the pillars, and now both of them, they're working on a brilliant startup where when people take photographs, the photos which are not of good quality, it gets deleted automatically. So something like that. I think you can go and look them up. And oh, by the way, interestingly, if you look up, I think Harshit Dwivedi on Google, one of the videos that comes up is me taking an interview of Harshit.
Hello
This is
everyone, I
Pratik
have
Bhaiya
Harshit Dwivedi with me.
taking an
Harshit
interview,
participated in Google Summer of Code
right?
2023.
And
He is very some things that
I
we
think
don't know
if you go and search, I think Ayush Arora, I think, yeah, I think that's
now we
me
have got
taking an interview
Ayush
of
Arora.
Ayush Bhaiya.
Just like I was with the
So,
Mario contribution, and it's not
and
like
this is actually not the this meetup. It was another meetup. It's, I think, a few months after this meetup. So this is the second meetup that we had. Uh, so yeah, and like most of the folks here, I think the people on the pizza table. So there's Manan, there is Jay, there is, I think, Jay is a game developer now. Uh, yeah, I think, and then is Saptak. Saptak has been like a big open source contributor, has worked at Zomato also before. There is Shivain. So Shivain wouldn't stop talking at this meetup. He I think took a session of I think 1.5 hours or so. So many questions people had about like how to get started with Google Summer of Code, how to get started with open source, how they don't understand Git or GitHub, and he just kept talking about all of those things. I remember I think we had like glasses of juice for everybody, and he did not drink his juice or did not have his food for 2 hours and kept on talking. So yeah, and that's that's like our first Google Summer of Code meetup we had, and from there, I think if you just go and search for Google Summer of Code meetup, you'll find like so many photos of that just on Google itself, and like even like the bad designs of the early years when somebody like Pratik Bhaiya or me, we would just take a open free to use background, blur it and put some stick logos on top of that, and to like some of the more professionally made by Yash or Siddharth, who are our designers now. So like looking much more sober and professional, because these days like the 2019 or the 2021s you would find them. But yeah, I think because to me it felt like being able to bring the community of people together, getting some of our first few mentors like Anuj, Ayush, Harshit, who I all met via Google Summer of Code. So I always felt like I do owe something to this program and to this community, so we can keep on having coding blocks as place where this community can always keep growing, aside from the entire uh, our commercial side of things like courses and all of that stuff. We should always have this place where people can regularly come and have meetups and do all of these things. We had, I think, the second 2017 when we had our open source meetups. We even went ahead and made a very nice video. So here's, I think, this one. So yeah, all of that video editing fun and all. So this was back when I think we did not have a YouTube channel. So we put this up on our Facebook page itself, and it always used to be really exciting to have so many people come here, get inspired to do a lot of things. And a lot of times I mean, this lot of these faces, I think I just feel pretty nostalgic looking at them, because many of these people, they have gone on to become really good software developers. Some of them have gone on to become scientists. Some of them have gone on and started their own startups as well. And some, like me, have just gained weight. um, so yeah. Um, so I think even like I think there are people like say Akanksha. So Akanksha, I remember she
Wonderful speaking
was
with you.
here.
To give us information and detailed procedures about the Google Summer of Code 2017, and it was an amazing experience because I got to know about their projects and their contributions as well. We had a mini GitHub workshop as well where we learned how to fork, pull a request, and also how to clone it in our own repositories. I would like to thank Coding Blocks for an amazing experience today.
Learning to code is not optional anymore because in 21st century it is the most essential skill and everyone should learn to code. So we welcome everyone to Coding Talks and embrace coding.
So some of these people here, I just want to pause this video and of course talk about these great people, of course. So that's Piyush there. Piyush, I think this is also Piyush. I think so. Two Piyushes, and one of them is working at Amazon. He's probably a senior engineer by now. The other Piyush is Ajmani. He went and joined payments company in Mexico, and he worked there for some time, and now he, I think, teaches people and freelances, and he's living in Mexico. I plan to visit someday Mexico, and I think ask him to show me around. Rishabh was also, like I was talking about, Bhavya and Purva. So like Rishabh was also, I think, for a long, long time, like a teaching assistant in many of my courses, and then he joined us as a mentor as well at Coding Blocks. And then after that, for a while doing that, he then went pursued his MS from Florida, and then he's working in the US right now. Akanksha is talking about. Akanksha has Akanksha is right now in CERN, I think. CERN, CER in CERN, right? So it's so I remember one day sitting at the near the reception of Coding Blocks, talking to her about what she wants to do. Like, is she interested in programming and development? What are other things she's interested in doing? And she said she's really interested in theoretical physics and basic just grow as a scientist. And it makes me so happy to see people who chase their dreams, who don't just stop at saying what they want to be. They really work towards doing that. And she's now a research scientist at CERN. Like, CERN is like the topmost place that you can go if you want to be a scientist. Like, there's no better place for you if you want to grow as a physicist. And it gives me so much joy. I mean, you know uh, if she was there in my Android program, if she would have become an Android developer, it would have been like a waste of such great talent. It would have been such a big loss for the science community to have lost somebody like Akanksha, and for her such a big loss. So yeah, I think chasing your dreams also, what you want to be. So that's important. There is Jay here. There is Prempal. So Prempal is like a junior from college, and like a very, very long time friend. My roommate from college time, my roommate when I was working at Zomato together with him as well. So
Three PRs for GSoC. Three PRs for GSoC. Three PRs for GSoC.
so yeah, I mean, this used to be like really fun stuff. And I don't know if anybody has seen you know the uh, I had written a Medium article about how I am an introvert, and if I go and try to teach classes, it feels so awkward because and it does. I mean, if it feels it took me a long, long time to be able to comfortable to be comfortable to even like record videos like this one, where I know when I'm recording this video nobody is standing in front of me, but at some point of time this would be viewed by uh, hopefully thousands of people. But yeah, I mean, especially like when I get into a class, and I love these physical classes where people can ask me doubts, and I can go to their seats and like open their laptops and see what they are stuck in and help them. And like, I really love that atmosphere. I'm really missing that a lot because of the current atmosphere. But uh, that said, I mean, I'm somebody who is really, really introverted, and like uh, meetings and meetups and gatherings and something is something that I don't like. But I think during this lockdown and everything, what I'm really missing is actually interacting with students and interacting at meetups like this, because like we have these kind of meetups once every few months, couple of months. So since February till now, if coronavirus had not happened, we would have had 2 3 more meetups like that. GSoC is ongoing. All those people who are participating right now, they have probably finished their milestone 1 and milestone 2 by now. So having meetups where people could have come and showcased their projects that they're working on would have been such a nice thing to have. But I think we can organize you know GSoC meetup online for Indian GSockers or something like that. I think we can do that. We'll try to do something around those lines as well. So yeah, this is a much later one. I think yeah, this is the 2019 one. This happened in Noida. So like by that time we actually had another center. So the ones that happened in 2016, we had just only one center. This had like, yeah. So now we had Dwarka, Noida, Pitampura, multiple centers. Again, like meeting some great people, some inspirational people here. Sanskar, then Sanket, Lavanya. Lavanya has been like, what, traveling all over the place, going to like great conferences. Anamika, I got to work with Anamika in my team at Zomato. So she's like one of the best Android developers that I know of. She was the best person, the best performer in what we had called trial weeks at Zomato. So in the trial weeks, what you do is, you come for a week at Zomato and you build a project, and whoever does it best, they so that's Ramika. They get an offer. So yeah, um, some great folks here as well. And so I also wanted to talk about, because we are talking about GSoC, and I don't want to specifically talk about only GSoC, but also talk about open source. And I written this article. I think if you guys want to go, and I'll put a link for this down in the comments or in the live chat for this video, is because a lot of the people who built the initial team at Coding Blocks, and even like till now, the team at Coding Blocks has been these same people out of the same community of young college students and developers who have aspired to participate in competitions like Google Summer of Code, have contributed to open source projects. And it always, like, when I first time made like the website for Coding Blocks, or when I first time started working with Umair on our online coding block systems, so it was like, like the default choice was, we'll just make a GitHub repository and we'll put the code there. It did not even strike to me that, we will have a closed source repository where we will put our source code so that somebody else can't see. Because it always felt like, this is our website, people just come and get information here, what's to hide inside the source code in that. And then even when we started doing online courses, so to be honest, yes, like our dukan.codingblocks.com, the checkout platform where you make your payments and also the source code for that is not actually open source. And the backend from where the videos are playing, that's also not open source. And again, I think they are not open source, not for the reason that, if they were open source, then people would be able to download videos. It's not that. Security does not really work that way, uh, unless you have our credentials, our database keys, and all of that stuff. Data is always protected. But I think it more has been like, many of those projects have been developed in haste, changed a lot over time, so the code is not really clean, not good enough to be made into an open source project. And sometimes, like, a lot of these secrets and API keys and all are just hard coded into the app at a lot of places, and it's a trouble to go and clean all that up to open source it. But our DNA has always been like, this is how the staircase at Coding Blocks looks like. When you go up, it has this big Git mural painted on it. And so I wrote about how when Coding Blocks began, we were always, it just made sense for us to make things open source. And this is something that like when I have gone and talked to other people from the industry, like say meeting other founders from edtech industry, like when I have started to interact with other startup founders and like talk to people from what we call as the industry, like it came much later. Like initially I did not think of coding blocks as a startup or me as a founder or this thing as a company. It always felt like just getting into a classroom and interacting with people. But yeah, over time, like when uh, you know people start calling you as co-founder and you meet other such people and you discuss about how your business working, and always people were very curious about how is it possible that everything, all the software that your company uses is open source. Like I think the general feeling that comes to your mind is, can somebody just steal it or copy it and make coding blocks v2 or something like that? But that's not how really things work, because uh, I mean, we are open source, and we have been so for more than 4 years. And I think among all the problems that we have had, I think never one has been that our source code is open, and so we have had this so and so problem. Somebody has hacked us, or somebody has stolen our videos because our source code is open. That's not how it really happens. But I think uh, growing as an open source company has always been like a great way for us to grow. It has given so much, I think, identity to everybody who has been involved at coding blocks in the tech team. All of their contributions are visible on GitHub. So many of them might tomorrow go to some other place as well. A lot of people have gone as well. I mean, uh, which of course is natural. Sometimes people just want to explore some other opportunities, or they might want to move from India outside or whatever. So when they do that, or even if they just want to show their credentials to somebody, uh, all of the work that they have done while they are at coding blocks, it just shows up on their GitHub repository. Anybody can check. So that's such a great advantage. Like they're working at a proper company where they're getting a salary. It's a proper tech team, and yet all of that work is open source, which is generally does not happen when you work at other corporate environments. But it really has been like that for us, and I really love it that we have been able to grow as this company without making a big deal about things being open source. uh, Speaking of which, actually, I would bring in a little bit of cross promoting something that is boss. So we have like a month of boss left, a little bit more than a month of boss left. So 15th of August boss ends. Boss is bountiful open source summer. It's a forcibly created acronym, of course, but boss sounds cool, right? That's why we have had these coffee cups as well, which say code like a boss. I don't know if you're able to see it or not, but yeah. So what happens in boss is you can actually contribute to what happened. Oops. So or maybe this search direct does not work, but so what boss does is if you go to oh, I need to be signed in for that to work. I think, I'm sorry, you need to be signed in, I believe. So I might be I'm not signed into GitHub in this browser. But yeah, so so a lot of things are open source at coding blocks, like I said, including our Android app, our online web app on which you consume the courses, hacker blocks, the IDE. So In fact, so much of the ID is actually being built by people over Boss. The original version was built by Naman, who did it via Boss, and he actually won Boss first time because of all the contribution that he did. One of them was in Boss, and so we have had, I think, what, more than 10 million submissions or so in on ID till now. Nowadays we support a lot of languages, like if even if you want to try out languages like Rust or Go or something like that, and you can run code for that, and you get like output within a few seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds. Language like C++, you will usually get, like, you think even faster. I think you get like 3 second kind of responses that you get. And all of these improvements, like, the speed at which the code is getting executed, the UI of Boss, many of these things have been the UI of ID has been done by college students who were interested in participating in some open source contest, and contribute to open source programs, and did it via Boss. So what you do at Boss is basically you go to coding blocks repositories, like for example this is the Android app, and you would find that like there are issues which are marked with Boss, which means that if you participate by if this might be a feature request, some might be bugs. So if you either solve the bug or you add this feature into this particular repository, then you can go and raise a claim. So when you raise claims, if your PR is merged and the issue is closed, your claims get accepted, and we have a leaderboard. Okay, so the people who have contributed the most will automatically be higher on the leaderboard because their points would be higher. The points are also weighted, so like if it's a bigger issue and if it's a bigger bug, then you get more points for doing it, of course. And at the end of everything else, there are some prizes, of course, no doubt. So with coronavirus and all, I think these are kind of tentative. We would, of course, we might change out some things. So for example, 1+7, we might have 1+8 instead of that, because something new comes out. But yeah, I think you get a Surface Pro, a 1+7, PlayStation, Fitbit, Kindle. So these are some of the prizes that you can win. But I think, yeah, more than the prizes, everybody who has participated in Boss for the last 3 years will tell you that they have grown as developers, they have grown as programmers, and they have learned how to build end-to-end projects. They have grown in their open source portfolio, which of course is, in the long bigger picture, that's a much bigger thing to have than winning a laptop. But in the shorter term, getting a laptop is of course a good thing. Getting a free laptop can never be bad. So yeah, I think you guys can participate in Boss. I think as long as something like meetups can't happen, which can't happen for a long, long time, I believe. Like even, I think maybe what, Feb 2021, even if we have classroom programs open, meetups are something we will probably do even later, as long as it's completely safe. There is a cure, there is a vaccine. It does not make sense to have discretionary things like meetups, because we can always do things like that online. um, so yeah, I just wanted to so I've been rambling along for what, I think 40 minutes. I don't intend to make such a long video, but and also, like, I know a lot of you people prefer if like these heart to heart talks happen in Hindi. But like if this had, like, I think beer in it instead of coffee, could have been Hindi. But I just, when I'm rambling along, I kind of feel a little comfortable in English, so I think you guys can bear with that. But yeah, uh, I think I just wanted to talk about these awesome people. Also, yeah, I think another thing I do want to touch upon is people like, say, Harshit or Ayush, and say who have really achieved so much in life. Like they have been GSoC students, and then GSoC mentors, and then Google developer experts, and they are running their own startup now. They have been mentors at coding blocks for a long time. Or somebody like Akanksha, who is a scientist at CERN, right? These are not small achievements. Like these are like the kind of stuff that dreams are made of, and they are going out there and achieving them. And these people, they are not from IITs, or they're not even from the so-called tier one colleges that you say, DTU, NSIT, Triple IT. They're not from that. Ayush Bhaiya is from JSSAT. Akanksha is, I think, from MDU. Harshit is from USIT. A lot of times, so many people ask about, how can we, do xyz in life, like achieve this, achieve that. If I'm from a tier 2 college, tier 3 college, I have, this limitation, that limitation. And I think everybody has some or the other limitation. um, you know if somebody has gotten into IIT after 12, it's a privilege that they can use later on. You If you have a startup and you're from IIT or IIM, it's so much easier to get funding. That's how it is. That happens. Okay, just saying, for example, if you are from, of course, like from some of the better colleges, then more companies come to your college for placement. But the people who really write their own destiny, the people who are really achieving their dreams out there, the people who are kind of, you look up to those people and think like, I want to be like that person. Those people are really not achieving things because they were able to get into a system that helps them. Okay. uh, so some of the people with the best job offers would not be the ones who got those job offers because that company came to their college. It would be because they would have had approached that company off campus, in the, you know somehow impressed that company and gotten a job there. Even like today, I mean, this entire campus placement thing is gonna get obsolete. Nobody's gonna come for campus placements. Some people might be doing it virtually just because that's a process that exists, and a lot of colleges will force these companies that, you do some Skype-based interviews, do a uh, virtual campus round, which is bullshit. I mean, if companies are doing it remotely, they will just do it just like any other interviews happen. Okay, so that's your virtual campus placement is exactly what off campus is. Okay, so don't bank on those things, and it does not really matter. Somebody will come and, spoon feed you a couple of questions, and you will answer them, and then somebody will give you a job, and you will just, wait there for the job to come to you. That's not how people go ahead and write their own destiny. You need to step beyond that if you want to, achieve something big. And all of these people I have had the fortune of um, having met at all of these meetups, starting from the first time we started having them at coding blocks, and till now. So I look at sometimes, on my Instagram or my Google Photos, the memories come up, XYZ day, 2 years back, 3 years back, this event happened. And I browse through the photos and I look at some face and I'm like, oh yeah, that when I met this person, right then I knew that he or she is going to do something great. And, you know, it happens when you really chase your dreams and you don't wait for dreams to come to you. So think beyond your college being tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 1. Think beyond what companies come to you for placement. Think beyond what opportunities are given to you. Think of what opportunities you can make for yourself. Okay. Anyway, I think I did not want this to be some kind of a, uh, inspirational self-help stuff. I don't really like that, kind of Gary V kind of a video. I just wanted to share some of my memories, some stories of people that I know, that I met as random people at a meetup, discussed things, talked about stuff, and then 3 years, 4 years later, I see them achieving exactly what they wished to be 3 years, 4 years back. So I think all of you can do the same thing. Hope you do that. Hope you stay well during this pandemic. And I think the lockdown has gone on for quite some time, and like the government, of course, because the economy is not uh, yeah, the economy, man, yeah. But yeah, because the economy needs to revive, they are saying, unlock one and everything. But of course, the virus is out there. People are getting infected, and they're getting infected much more than they were getting infected in February and March. Then 10 people a day were getting infected then, and 25,000 people are getting infected a day now. So, be safe, wear your masks, don't go to places that you don't need to go. Staying at home is fine, but when you're staying home, I think, yeah, eat less, because you're not really exercising. You're stuck home, so eat less, exercise more if possible. I think it is, I mean, what's if possible? It's always possible to exercise, right? So do exercise, and spend time away from screens as well, because so many screens all the time. I just feel you should have some time not looking at a screen. uh, I don't know. Can I ask you people to read books? I don't think that's something that people in 2020 do anymore, but who knows? So yeah, and you have gotten a lot of time. I think people who are still in college, the regular classes might not be going on. You might have a lot of time in your hand, and time when you can spend it the way you wish to spend it. Whether you do online courses, or whether you do some freelance projects or whatever, you can do that. And let's see, maybe we can have like a online meetup kind of a thing soon. But till then, we keep on posting these videos where on the live chat you can ask us a lot of stuff. On the comments, you can ask us a lot of stuff. And please go ahead and ask. Please, if you have any suggestions on what other things we can talk about, what other things we can, uh, you know, um discuss. Because when we have something like a classroom environment, when we have meetups, there's a lot of discussion on non-tech stuff that happens, like, um advice, what to do, how to do, where can we get opportunities, information exchange, that very freely, easily, openly happens. It's not just here is an algorithm on the board and just go and write it. So that I think we want to increase that happening between the mentors and the students, the coding blocks community. So feel free to write about any other thing that you'd love to get discussed. I'll surely do that. And till then, stay well, take care. Okay, have a nice day.